You've heard this song, right? I mean, of course you have. It's one of those melodies that feels like it's just always been there. But behind that simple, familiar tune are some of the most powerful questions ever put to music. Today, we're going to pull apart Bob Dylan's Blowing in the Wind and really figure out why it still hits so hard.
It all comes down to this one single line. It's beautiful, it's poetic, and it's famously confusing. It sounds so profound, but it's also a total riddle.
So, what is he saying? Is the answer just lost forever? Is it impossible to find, or is it something else? To get to the bottom of it, we have to look at the questions he asks right before he gives us that iconic line.
The song kicks off with three huge questions, and they all circle around one really heavy theme: the human price of war and that long, brutal search for peace. First, he hits you with this question about just being seen as a human being. Then the image shifts to a white dove, the symbol of peace, just searching and searching for a place to finally rest. And then, wham, he gets brutally direct. When are the cannonballs gonna stop flying? Forever? So, what do these images really mean? Well, the road is that journey just to be seen, to be respected. The dove is that tired, almost hopeless search for peace. And the cannonballs? That's a question we're still asking, isn't it? When does the violence actually end? And after posing these enormous questions about life, death, and war, Dylan just gives us nothing, no solution. He just drops that mysterious refrain on us again, leaving us to wonder. But he's not done asking questions, not by a long shot. So in the second verse, the camera kind of pulls back from the battlefield and turns towards society itself. This part is all about injustice, oppression, and maybe most importantly, our choice to just look the other way. He starts with this huge geologic image of a mountain slowly eroding away, and then he contrasts that with this painfully human question. How long do people have to just exist before they're finally allowed to be free? And then, and this is the killer line, he turns it on us, asking how many times we can just turn our heads and pretend we don't see it. You see the shift here? It's not about some abstract conflict anymore. It's about our own responsibility. He's asking, how long is too long to wait for justice? And more to the point, what part do we play when we decide it's easier to just ignore it? And that brings us to the final verse, which is maybe the most gut-punching of them all. Because here, Dylan just drops all the metaphors. The problem isn't that we can't see the truth, it's that we won't. I mean, these questions are just brutally simple. We can all look up and see the sky. We all have ears. We can hear people cry. He frames these obvious things as if they're impossible tasks, all to build to that final, devastating question: how many people have to die before we finally get it? And that's when you realize what the song is really about. It's not just a protest song about a specific war or policy. It's a protest song about apathy itself, about our incredible ability to ignore the suffering that's right there in front of us. So let's go back to that big mystery. After all these direct, painful questions about war, freedom, and our own indifference, what are we supposed to make of that refrain? Well, it turns out the answer isn't really an answer at all. It's a challenge. And this, right here, is the key to the whole song. The answers to all those questions, they aren't some deep, hidden secret. They're simple. They're obvious. War is bad. People deserve to be free. Pain should be acknowledged. The answers are literally everywhere, all around us, as obvious as the wind blowing in your face. So the problem isn't that the answers are missing. The problem is that we are. We're the ones who are missing the point. The song is like a mirror, forcing us to ask ourselves why we let these simple truths just float by, completely ignored. And that powerful, timeless challenge is exactly why this song, written way back in 1962, has never gone away. And its relevance isn't just some theory. You can literally see it in the numbers. Just let that sink in for a second. 1,585 times. That is not just a song he keeps in his back pocket. That's a statement he has felt the need to make over and over and over again for almost 60 years. And you can trace its incredible journey right here. From the very first time he played it live, to the iconic studio version, to legendary live albums, and even recent archival releases. This song has been a constant presence through decades of change. But why? Well, and this is the hard part,
It's because those questions he asked in 1962 have never really been answered. We are still dealing with war, still fighting for basic freedoms, and still battling our own tendency to just look away. And that really brings us to the final takeaway. After you strip it all down, the song holds that mirror up to our faces one last time and leaves us with its most raw and urgent plea. The answer, my friend, is still blowing in the wind. The only real question left is, when are we finally going to reach out and grab it?